Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Despite America's diversity and those who seek to secularize it, one thing is clear. The majority of people in this country still believe in God and that America was founded on Judeo-Christian values. I am Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, there's obviously a greater effort these days to secularize America, both in the courts and through the educational system, to literally remove any kind of reference to God from the public square and to rewrite our history. But our heritage is very clear. This nation was founded on Judeo-Christian values. It is those values that make America unique and exceptional.
Yeah, in 1776, our founding fathers put together a Declaration of Independence. That was a declaration of independence from foreign nations, from Great Britain. It wasn't a declaration of independence from our reliance upon God. And Americans today, the numbers are clear. They show that the majority of Americans are clamoring for this nation to redeclare its dependence upon our divine Creator.
Well, in our Patriots Handbook on American liberty, we have the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And the Declaration of Independence is always something that I think is worth going back and rereading again and again. It is a very powerful statement of what Thomas Jefferson called the reflection of the American mind. And in this book, the New England or the Patriots Handbook on American Liberty, it sets forth what they believed. And this was a declaration to the entire world. They knew it was going to be read. They knew that their life was going to depend on it, and they were going to give their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend the principles. And it says, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that God, in other words, infused in us the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It starts off with an acknowledgement that there is God, and the government's purpose is to protect these pre-existing God-given liberties. And that heritage and history has passed on down through the ages to our present time.
Yeah. Well, the notion was what God giveth, God taketh away, and God gives us certain inalienable rights. Unfortunately, we're at the point now where there are many who believe that what government giveth, government taketh away, or rather I should say what God giveth, government can taketh away. Our rights are being alienated in this nation right now, in violation certainly of our Constitution and absolutely the spirit of the Declaration of Independence. The numbers bear that reality out.
Well, a number of polls have borne this out. 93% want "in God we trust" to remain in our coins and currency. 90% support keeping under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. 84% support references to God in schools, government buildings, and public settings. 82% support voluntary school prayer. 76% support the Ten Commandments displays on public property. And these are just some of the many surveys that have been produced, and they consistently come back over and over again that America still is a nation that believes in God.
Yeah. Well, the numbers are clear here. What we see is that the vast majority of Americans still recognize our dependence upon God, that we are one nation under God. And what we're finding is that we have a very loud, very powerful minority of, quote, progressive secularists and separatists, those who want to separate, remove any reference to God, not just any God, the Christian God, Jehovah, the creator of the universe, want him removed from any public forum, and want people, that these uppers, 80s and 90s% of Americans, pushed to the fringes. And there's a word for that. That's tyranny, and it's called tyranny of the minority, and that's what we're living under right now, a tyranny of a secularist minority that wants to engage in religious cleansing.
Well, it is the fact that there is a God, and government's duty is to protect these God-given liberties, that ultimately results in God being over government, and therefore government being a limited authority with a limited role. David Barton has 5 immutable principles that come from the Declaration of Independence preamble. He says government acknowledges that there is a creator, number 1. Number 2, government acknowledges that the creator gives specific inalienable rights to man. 3, government acknowledges that it exists to protect God-given rights. 4, government acknowledges that below the level of God-given rights, government powers are to be operated only with the permission of the citizens, that is, the consent of the government. And 5, if government fails to meet the 4 above standards, the people have an unalienable right to abolish that government and institute a new one that does observe the criteria set forth that government's purpose is to be. Now, we can look at many of our statements from our founding fathers. George Washington, our first general, first president, he said it is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey His will, to be grateful for His benefits, and humbly to implore His protection and favor. You can go on and look at some of the quotes from the founders. John Adams, the first vice president, second president, says the safety and prosperity of nations ultimately and essentially depend on the protection and the blessing of Almighty God, and the national acknowledgement of this truth is an indispensable duty which the people owe to Him.
Yeah, Washington, Adams, on and on goes the list, recognizes Washington often talked about the twin pillars that our nation is girded by, the twin pillars of religion and morality. What do we see happening today? We see people taking sledgehammers to those twin pillars of religion and morality, and when they hack down and break down those 2 pillars, our nation that is undergirded by those 2 pillars comes crashing down. Why do you think we see sexually transmitted diseases skyrocketing? A nation that is trillions and trillions and trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt, in an unsustainable trajectory that spells bankruptcy for this nation. Why do we see morality and our nation's moral compass plummeting? It's because those twin pillars are being crumbled. They're being broken down, and we need to support those pillars and rebuild those pillars in this nation if we're going to have any future as a country.
And George Washington said those twin pillars were essential to government, and anybody who labors to undermine those twin pillars of religion and morality cannot even be called a true patriot. And obviously he knew what a patriot was when he saw them. He was one of America's first leading patriots in being the general of the First Army here in America. Now, the problem that we see is that when we start to undermine those pillars, the values that America is based upon begin to crumble. Our rights begin to crumble because if there is no God, if God is completely booted out, then government becomes the ultimate authority
It's
source.
arbitrary. Yeah.
It becomes the ultimate authority. Sam Adams said, "May every citizen have a proper sense of the deity upon his mind and an impression of the declaration recorded in the Bible. Him that honoreth me I will honor, but he that despiseth me will be lightly esteemed." Deuteronomy chapter 28 is a passage of the blessings and cursings. If you honor God and obey His commandments, all these blessings will come. And if you dishonor, all these others will come to you as well. You can go on and on and on through the history of America. The great thing about America, it was founded on the notion that there is a God. God gives us rights and He gives us liberty. Government is to protect those rights and those liberties. And that's the role of government. And it is that idea that gave freedom of religion to people with opposing religious views. Yeah. So instead of having a theocracy, it had an environment where America became exceptional to provide religious freedom for those who believed or those who did not believe, but to not force them to pay tithes to a particular church or support a particular denomination. The government was established, and ultimately it is upon those values that America became what we now refer to as American exceptionalism. We became exceptional because of the values that undergird America. For more information about our history, you can go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org, or call us 800-671-1776. One book that I would recommend in every library is David Barton's book called Original Intent. That's the book Original Intent by David Barton. You may want to highlight what you don't want to read, because when you highlight what you want to remember, most of the book is going to be highlighted. It is chock full, quote after quote after quote, and resourced very well and cited extensively. David Barton's book, Original Intent, you can order that for a contribution to Liberty Counsel. You can go to lc.org or call us at 800-671-1776. We also have the book, The New England Primer. That book was used in American text as a textbook in American schools for 200 years. Fascinating read of what our children read in the public schools. And this book, one of our series of the Patriot's Handbook on Religious Freedom and Liberty, it is a book that is a must-read with the Constitution and the Declaration.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.